Liberal education came about as the form of education that would prepare an individual to fulfill these citizenship tasks of self-governance. And if you think about that, what do you need to know to effectively fulfill the role of a democratic citizen, right? A participant in assemblies on these debates. Well, you need to have communication skills, and you need to have critical thinking skills, and you need to understand something about history and something about science and something about politics and something about religion. In fact, there is no area of human knowledge that is irrelevant to this whole practice of self-governance, participation in self-governance. So that's what liberal education is. And to this day, it continues to be an education that prepares an individual not for a specific task, not for a specific profession, which is why sometimes it says that it is useless. It prepares them for a life of freedom, for a life of self-governance and self-determination. This is not a trivial thing. The way that they read newspapers, the way that they look at the news, the way that they engage with their public officials, the way that they think about college, the way that they relate to the problems in their communities, all of that becomes transformed by this kind of education that is, useless. It's a kind of education simply in what it means to be a human being and a citizen of a free society. Um, it is in this way that liberal education is absolutely critical for democracy. And it is in this way that we will never attain our potential and realize the dream of American democracy unless we take liberal education for all seriously. The elite of America have been having liberal education for hundreds of years. The non-elite of the United States have not had access to that. And our current political crisis, the fact that we today have find ourselves as a society unable to navigate, to digest, to metabolize the democratic life and the problems that emerge to us is one way that you can name that sort of political crisis that we're in. It's a failure of liberal education in our population. That is, we have not educated a population with the tools to metabolize the discursive challenges in disinformation and propaganda, in the crisis of institutions that we are facing. We have not equipped the brunt of the population with the tools to work through that. So we are facing a kind of logjam in our politics. I have not had a moment of doubt about the value of this education. I have had moments of doubt about whether we will be able to bring American higher education to fulfill its mission of providing this kind of education broadly to the mass population. I mean, something that we're seeing right now is that this kind of education is under attack from the right and from the left, and it's under pressure institutionally, professionally, kind of culturally. And I fear, and sometimes I feel my hopes are diminished sometimes. So I'm a pretty optimistic person, but I fear that we may be drifting, the big danger is that we're drifting to a situation in which liberal education becomes again the province of a privileged, well-resourced elite with technical, vocational, pre-professional education, much of it online for everybody else. I guarantee you, the wealthy, the privileged, the people rich in cultural capital are going to continue to seek and pay for a liberal education for their children. What we risk is that liberal education becomes just that, which will be a way of reversing and reentrenching, reversing progress we have made in inequality and entrenching the hierarchies of privilege and domination that have marred our history.